5 reasons why you don't like to be around people. Have you ever walked into a crowded room, felt the buzz of 100 conversations dancing through the air, and wished for nothing more than to turn on your heel and walk away? It's not just discomfort, it's an ache, a gnawing sense that you're out of place, even when surrounded by familiar faces. People are supposed to be social creatures, aren't they? We're taught that connection is essential, that human interaction is the lifeblood of happiness. So why is it that being around others sometimes feels like draining your soul through a sieve? Maybe it's the constant demand to perform, to smile, laugh, and keep the dialogue flowing, even when your internal reservoir of energy is bone dry. Or perhaps it's the inevitable shallowness of conversations that skim the surface while your mind is plumbing the depths. There's a pressure to conform, to fit neatly into a world that seems too chaotic, too loud, too much. And then there's the judgment. Oh, the judgment. The curious stares when you slip away early from a gathering, the subtle questions about whether you're okay, as though preferring your own company is a red flag. They ask, "Why don't you like being around people?" as though there's a singular, simple answer. But you know better. This isn't about disliking people. It's about the mismatch between your needs and the reality of modern social life. The truth is, there's a constellation of reasons why you feel this way. Each one is a reflection of your unique personality, experiences, and desires. These reasons aren't flaws, they're facets of who you are. Let's dive into them, not to justify or explain away your feelings, but to honor them, and perhaps to understand them a little better. 1. You are an introvert. There's a quiet power in solitude, isn't there? The stillness, the calm, the way your mind feels like it can finally stretch its legs and roam freely. For you, solitude isn't loneliness, it's liberation. It's not about avoiding people, it's about returning to yourself. As an introvert, the very fabric of your being craves depth over breadth. You don't want the fleeting highs of surface-level connections. You want the profound sense of understanding that comes from a real conversation. But how often do those come along? Most social interactions seem designed to skim the surface, bouncing from topic to topic without ever delving into anything meaningful. And let's not forget the energy cost. For you, every social interaction is like a transaction where you're handing over pieces of your energy in exchange for what exactly? Small talk? Polite smiles? It's not that you don't value connection, you do. But when the balance sheet doesn't add up, you start to question whether it's worth it. Of course, the world isn't built for introverts. There's an unspoken expectation that you should be outgoing, gregarious, the life of the party. When you're not, people start to wonder if something's wrong. They don't see the rich inner world you inhabit, the thoughts and dreams that swirl within you like galaxies. So you retreat, not out of fear or disdain, but out of a need to preserve the core of who you are. Solitude isn't a retreat from the world. It's a return to your essence. And if that makes you antisocial in the eyes of others, so be it. You know the truth. 2. Trust issues. Trust is a fragile currency in relationships, and for some, it's been spent too freely, only to yield betrayal in return. If you've been burned before, by a friend who turned their back on you, a partner who shattered your confidence, or even a relative who let you down, you know how hard it is to rebuild. Trust issues aren't about paranoia, they're about survival. Imagine pouring your heart out to someone only to have your words twisted and thrown back at you. It's not just hurtful, it's disorienting. Suddenly, the rules of connection feel arbitrary, the ground beneath your feet unstable. Trust issues don't just make you wary of others, they make you wary of yourself, questioning your ability to judge character, to discern friend from foe. And so, you retreat. Not because you don't want connection, but because you fear the cost of it. Each interaction feels like a gamble, with stakes too high for comfort. The vulnerability required to trust someone again feels like opening a wound that hasn't fully healed. It's not just a fear of being hurt, it's a fear of being hurt again. But trust issues don't only manifest in caution, they can also create a heightened sensitivity to red flags. You become attuned to subtle cues, a glance that lingers too long, a tone that doesn't match the words. While others might brush off these signals, you take note, adding them to a mental ledger that dictates how much of yourself you're willing to share. It's not that you've given up on people entirely. Deep down, you still long for connection, for the warmth of genuine understanding. But that longing is tempered by the lessons you've learned, the hard, painful lessons that taught you not everyone deserves access to your heart. Rebuilding trust is possible, but it's a slow, deliberate process. It starts with small steps. A kind word here, a shared laugh there. It's about finding those rare individuals who prove time and again that they're worth the risk. Until then, it's okay to keep your distance. It's okay to protect yourself. Trust isn't given freely, it's earned. And you have every right to demand that it be earned well. 3. Spending time with the wrong people. Not all company is good company, and this might be the most underrated reason why you shy away from socializing. It's not that you don't want to be around people, you just don't want to be around those people, the ones who drain you, frustrate you, or leave you feeling worse than you did before. You've met them, the overtalkers, the complainers, the energy vampires who suck the life out of a room. Spending time with such people feels less like socializing and more like emotional labor. Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone who monopolizes the conversation, talking endlessly about themselves without so much as a pause to ask how you're doing. Or worse, someone who veils their insults in compliments, leaving you questioning their motives and your sanity. Who could blame you for avoiding such interactions? Then there are the energy vampires, the ones who suck the life out of you with their constant negativity, complaints, or drama. Spending time with them feels less like socializing and more like emotional labor. And after enough of these encounters, you begin to wonder, is it even worth it? It's not just the overtly toxic people you avoid, it's also the ones who simply don't get you. Maybe it's the friend who insists on going to loud bars when you'd rather have a quiet coffee, or the colleague who pushes you to join office parties when you'd prefer to head home and read. It's not that you don't appreciate their intentions, you just wish they'd respect your preferences. Over time, these experiences take a toll. You start associating socializing with discomfort, awkwardness, or outright frustration. It's not that you don't like people, it's that you've had one too many encounters with the wrong ones, and so you choose solitude, not as a rejection of others, but as an embrace of your own well-being. It's not about avoiding people, it's about avoiding unnecessary pain. 4. Low self-esteem. Sometimes the reluctance to be around people isn't about them, it's about you. It's the nagging voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, not interesting enough, not worthy of their time. This isn't something you broadcast to the world, of course. Outwardly, you might seem fine, maybe even confident. But beneath the surface, there's a storm of self-doubt, convincing you that every interaction is a potential minefield of judgment and rejection. You replay past conversations, dissecting every word, every expression, every perceived mistake. Did they think you were boring? Did they notice that awkward laugh? Did you say something stupid? These thoughts spiral, and before long, the idea of socializing feels like stepping onto a stage unprepared and exposed. What's worse, this self-doubt becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you pull back, the more disconnected you feel. And the more disconnected you feel, the harder it becomes to re-engage. It's a vicious cycle, one that keeps you locked in a cage of your own making. But here's the thing, this isn't who you are. It's just a narrative your mind has constructed, a story you've been telling yourself for so long that it feels like the truth. And breaking free from it starts with recognizing that the world is far less judgmental than your inner critic would have you believe. 5. Social anxiety. Have you ever felt your chest tighten and your palms start to sweat at the mere thought of walking into a room full of people? Social anxiety isn't just shyness on steroids. It's a full-blown mental battlefield where every interaction feels like an impending disaster. Picture this. You're invited to a gathering. You know the people there are friendly and the environment is casual. Still, your mind starts its relentless chatter. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I don't say anything at all? Will they notice my awkwardness? By the time you arrive, you're already exhausted from fighting the scenarios your mind has conjured. Social anxiety can make even the simplest interactions feel like climbing Mount Everest without a guide. Every smile feels forced, every silence deafening. You're hyper-aware of your body language, your tone of voice, even the angle at which you're holding your drink. And when the night ends, you don't feel relief. Just a post-mortem analysis of every single thing you could have done differently. It's not that you don't want to connect with people. You want to connect, to be part of the conversation, to feel like you belong. Deep down, you might even crave it. But the fear of being judged, misunderstood, or simply not measuring up makes the whole experience too overwhelming to bear. So, you retreat, not out of preference, but self-preservation. For many, social anxiety stems from past experiences, moments of embarrassment, rejection, or ridicule that left a lasting imprint. These memories become triggers, resurfacing in the form of intrusive thoughts and heightened sensitivity. While others might brush off a minor misstep, you replay it over and over, convinced it defines you. Over time, this avoidance creates a paradox. The less you interact, the more your social skills rust, and the more daunting the idea of interaction becomes. It's a cruel cycle, one that leaves you feeling isolated and misunderstood. But beneath the anxiety lies a truth. The world isn't as harsh a judge as you imagine. And with patience and self-compassion, the chains of social anxiety can loosen, making room for meaningful connection. Overcoming social anxiety isn't easy, but it's possible. It starts with small steps, like challenging your fears, practicing self-compassion, and seeking support from those who understand. It's about learning that you're more resilient than you think, that you can face the discomfort and come out stronger on the other side. Until then, it's okay to take it slow, to prioritize your mental health over societal expectations. Because at the end of the day, your well-being matters more than anyone else's opinion. The complex truth behind solitude. At the heart of these reasons lies one undeniable fact. Your desire to avoid people isn't a simple aversion. It's a mosaic of experiences, emotions, and perceptions. Whether it's the craving for depth, the weight of intelligence, the wounds inflicted by the wrong people, or the inner battles of self-esteem and anxiety, each reason tells a story, your story. But solitude isn't inherently bad. It's where creativity flourishes, where introspection happens, where you reconnect with the essence of who you are. The key lies in balance, finding the courage to step into the world without losing yourself in it. So the next time someone questions your preference for solitude, remember, it's not about avoiding people, it's about honoring yourself. And that, in a world that constantly demands your attention, is a quiet act of rebellion worth celebrating. If you'd like, I can expand further, or refine specific sections to deepen the exploration into each point? Let me know.